Hey everyone, Lucas back again with my trusty RICOH GR II, and today I want to talk all about snap focus, which is the kind of special feature of these cameras that the 1, the 2, and the 3 all have. And I think there's some interest in how to get the most out of it. Everyone knows it's a cool feature, but how do you really use it? What does it really mean? So I want to talk all about that today. But first, please don't forget to subscribe, like, leave a comment. I do personally go through the comments on the videos that I create for this channel, and I do answer questions. I don't answer every comment, but I'll answer questions. If you have technical questions about anything I explained today, please ask and I will answer them as best as I can. All right, so we're gonna jump right into it. Snap focus on the RICOH GR II. The first thing I want to explain is, first of all, how to even get to it, because it's not, by default, it's not immediately completely accessible. I think you have to go, to be honest, I've had this camera for like 4 years and I don't even remember the default way because I immediately customized it to be more accessible. So I'm pretty sure normally you have to go into the main menu here, and you get like snap focus distance, full press snap on and off, and you can change those things. But I went ahead and customized it so that on my camera, the FN2 button, which is here at my thumb, turns the snap focus on and off, okay? And then the function 1 button, which is the left side of the circle here, under my thumb as well, allows me to choose the distance of the snap focus. So this means that snap focus is constantly at my fingertips, so to speak. I never have to go into the menu to enable or disable snap focus, okay? Now, quick note, there is also, of course, full press snap. And for those of you who are not familiar with this, so if I am not in snap focus mode, but I do have a distance selected, let's say I chose 5 meters, okay? Then when I press the button normally, the shutter button kind of halfway, the camera will focus as it usually does. But if I press it all the way, immediately, without giving it time to focus, it will snap to that distance that I have selected, hence the name snap focus. Okay, so we have 2 ways to access snap focus. One is to manually turn it on and off, and in my case I use this button on the back here, the FN2 button, and the other way is to use the full press snap. So you press it all the way down and snap focus just happens in the moment. Great when you don't have any time to turn it on or off. But that doesn't really go into exactly how to set up snap focus, because when you have the distances, how do you know what distance is appropriate? What is the best distance for the kind of photos you're shooting? And also, what's the deal with when you do choose a distance? Let's say I choose 5 meters, or let's say 2 meters in this case, and snap focus is actually on the back of the camera here. Like I can see a little chart comes up, and I have infinity 531.3 and a little green bar, and then a little yellow tick. What is that all about? So now we need to get into a little bit of more nitty-gritty details regarding depth of field and aperture. So what you'll notice is if you set up your snap focus, let's say like I did now on 2 meters, and you put the aperture on say f8, the green bar fills more of the gauge because you have more depth of field at very small apertures. At f8, let's say in this case, things are in focus from, according to the camera, from 1 meter all the way to infinity. So you get very deep focus. But if I put it on f2.8 and I'm set to 2 meters, now I see that the little green bar is tiny. It's only from 3 meters to like 1.5 or 2. There's no number, so it's hard to tell. So that means that the depth of field has gotten much shallower. So that's something to consider when you're choosing the distance for snap focus and the aperture. In general, I would say that snap focus is easier when you're using a smaller aperture like f8, because it gives you more depth of field, and it's more forgiving. If you're not exactly in the right zone, as we call it, then you're still going to get a sharp photo. But on f2.8, it gets a little bit risky. But it's not only the aperture that affects the depth of field, it's also the focusing distance. So if I'm set to 2 meters as I am right now, my depth of field is very shallow, but if I put it on 5 meters, although it's farther away, the focusing area starts at 3 meters, it goes much deeper. According to the camera, it goes all the way to infinity. So you have to balance both those things. You have to use both ideas, how close you're focusing and the aperture. So to sum it all up, to give some specific concrete tips, if I was using snap focus at night doing street photography, I would probably keep it at around 5 meters, and I would generally keep my distance from my subject. I wouldn't get too close. But in the daytime, I might be able to, if I wanted to go for that look, I might be able to go 2 meters and f8, and then I would still be able to get pretty close to my subject and get them sharp with snap focus. So you have to kind of strategize, what kind of lighting conditions are you in, what aperture are you allowing yourself to use given the light, and then what are you actually going for. If you want more of like a headshot, like a tight street photo with a 28mm equivalent lens, you're gonna have to get pretty close. But if you want something a little more atmospheric, you can stand farther back, and therefore a 5-meter snap focus distance will totally work. And just to kind of reiterate, whatever distance you choose in here will be, even if snap focus is off, will be whatever registers on your full press snap. So if you set it to 1 meter, when you do full press snap, it's going to be 1 meter. If you set it on 5 meters, it'll be 5 meters. So that was a lot of explaining. I hope that's pretty clear. Now we're going to go walk around Ikebukuro here and do some street photography and hopefully demonstrate how this all works. All right, let's go. This street here in Ikebukuro is called Sunshine Street, I think that's what they call it. And it's kind of a busy shopping street. You can see ahead, there's tons of people out kind of doing their thing on a, what day of the week is it? Tuesday night, pretty crowded. I'm gonna put my mask on now because it's a little bit crowded over there. Wanna follow the rules, safety first. Now, because it's dark, I'm on f2.8, okay? And for my snap focus distance, I'm using 5 meters. And like I was saying, because I know I want to use snap focus, I'm not going to use full press snap. I just have snap focus engaged. So it's just doing snap focus for every single photo I take, regardless of how I push the shutter speed. Okay? So let's see what we can find to shoot. All right. And it's actually really nice to use snap focus from there's many reasons that it's good, but there's one thing that I really like about it, is you never have to autofocus. You just point and shoot. Like you just point your camera at something and you click the button and it shoots immediately. You're not waiting for any focusing at all. So it doesn't matter how fast or slow the autofocus is, whatever, it's a great feature to have. Other cameras don't have it, so you always have to take time to focus. Sometimes it's blazing fast, but it's not as fast as instant, which is the beauty of this. So here we go, little doggy. All right. And how was that? That looked pretty sharp. There you go. So they got a little bit close, those subjects, but they were still just far enough away that I think, they were in that zone of currently between about 3 meters and infinity. So again, the beauty of the snap focus thing is because it's so fast, you don't have to, take time to focus. You don't have to linger on a subject very long. The other thing is, I'm generally very open about what I'm doing. I'm not hiding what I'm doing when it comes to street photography. But having said that, it does allow you to do it much more quickly and much more casually, so you don't draw as much attention to yourself, which gives you more opportunities for candid shots. So you're not there like fiddling and focusing. You just, oh, that's nice, click, and that's it. It's done. You move on, right? Let's see here. This guy's kind of cool. It's not that interesting, but I think it's a good example of snap focus here. Because you see, I can maintain that distance between me and the subject. And there you go, it looks perfectly sharp without any focusing. Well, without any traditional focusing, by using snap focus. Now today, when we're shooting this particular video, it's mainly about explaining how to do snap focus, right? So I'm not saying I'll necessarily find really interesting subjects in the couple minutes that we're going to walk around this neighborhood, but this is the kind of situation in which I would use this technique. All right, this is a cool scene right here. Yeah, not the most interesting shot in the world, but it proves the point. It was tack sharp, I didn't need to spend time focusing, saw the subject, framed it up, clicked the shutter, and it's done. I have an idea. Let's see here. So there's no subject here, but the idea is that snap focus is also good in lieu of fully manual, like regular manual focus, because what you could do is, in this case, I'm shooting through the glass, through the different layers, but with snap focus, because I'm telling it, okay, 5 meters away, it ignores the stuff in the foreground, I could focus in the background. But nobody came there, so I need somebody to walk really close to this window, and then that could be a shot, right, if they're there. Yeah, something like that. But nobody gets too close enough. All right, let's keep going. Still the same settings because it's gloomy, it's dusk. f2.8, 5 meters away. This truck works. It's not the most interesting thing, but it's kind of cool. Okay, so we've been doing it on 5 meters away, but let's do a challenge. I know I said at f2.8 at night, you know, when it's dark, and up close, you get a very shallow depth of field. It doesn't mean it's impossible, it just means it's harder. So I'm going to put it on let's say 2 meters away. And I'm going to try to photograph subjects that are about 2 meters away from me, okay? That means they're going to be a lot closer and a lot bigger in the frame. And we'll see how that goes. But because the DOF is shallower, it's going to be much more tricky. That worked well, right? Okay, here's a couple photos that I took in the past using snap focus. This one here I did with a full press snap. The next one that's coming up here I did with the turning snap focus on manually because I knew he was coming, so I was ready for it. This one also was with snap focus pre-turned on, and finally this was a full press snap. So a couple of shots using the snap focus technique. Okay guys, so I hope you got some ideas of how to do snap focus, how to use snap focus in various situations. I know that today I didn't get the most amazing, home run street photos in this short photo walk. The purpose was to demonstrate how snap focus works, not to necessarily get the perfect photos. But those are the situations I do really use it in when I'm doing a kind of walking around, running and gun style. There's a subject, snap focus is the right thing to do. And also, it even is helpful in situations where you're doing a more stationary shot, but you just don't want to mess with the autofocus because there's clutter in the foreground that could confuse it. Or sometimes you see a scene that you could do on manual, but because the subject is coming right then and there, you don't have time, snap focus is there to save the day. So please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave any comments with any questions you might have. I will be checking in over the next few days, up to a week or so, and answering any questions that people have and help you guys out. All right? So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.